What's cracking, people? Angelic Mayhem here. In this episode of SimCity Versity, we're going to be talking about how to make money. This is the most requested video I've had so far, so here it is. It's actually going to be the first of 4 videos I do on money management and earnings. Specifically, this video is going to be on how to raise tons of cash using solely taxes at the start of your game. Now, keep in mind that because a city redraws itself, you can crush your Sims' hopes and dreams at the start in exchange for cash, then treat them properly later on once you have what you need. So, let's get right to the video. Alright, so, welcome to Rising Sun Valley. This is a city that I have built specifically for the purpose of generating as much tax revenue as I could. And as you can see down here at the bottom, we're up to $11,514 in profit. Now, the question is, how did we do this? The easiest way to raise money in SimCity is to deprive your Sims of everything that they could ever ask for. So I'm going to open up the budget panel here and show you the operating budget that I'm working on right now. There are certain things that you simply cannot do without. If you, for instance, are without power, your buildings will become abandoned, and you will spend your entire time demolishing abandoned buildings. You don't want to do that. You want a self-sustaining city, and I'll explain why in a little bit. So notice, number 1, I took out no bonds. That was very important. What I did was I started off with the amount of money that they gave me. I set up my first streets, put down housing, and then I waited until I got enough cash to then build my power station and my water, which, here's my power station and here's my water. If we look at the zoning map, let me go back to the city, zoning map, over here, which is downwind, let me show you the wind map. You'll notice that all the arrows are pointing in that direction, taking the pollution out of the city. That's important for citizens' health and towards making this amount of money as big as it can be. Let me get out of that. So here's the zoning map. Obviously, I put the industrial down here on the wind side. I also have my garbage dump here, and I'll explain why you need that in a little bit as well. But as you can see, abandoned buildings, 0. Rubble, 18. Now I'm going to come to rubble in a second. Let's go back to here. So power and water, you will have abandoned buildings, so you absolutely cannot do without those 2 things. The other thing that you need is sewage. All right, you need at least 1, preferably 2 sewer pipes. The reason for that is because as your citizens become sick, that's going to cost you money in the long run. So you want to try to keep them from getting sick for as long as possible. Because if you notice, one of the things that I'm not providing to them is healthcare. 0. So by having sewage and by keeping the industry downwind, that will keep your guys from getting ill and dying, which will reduce the amount of cash that you have. This is a necessary expenditure. Waste disposal is also for the same reason. It also prevents ground pollution and things like that. It's at 600 because, and I'm going to zoom into it so that you can see why, I have here a garbage incinerator. And the reason why I have that is because if I didn't, I would have to sacrifice a huge amount of space up in this area for garbage dump. I do not want to do that. Neither do you. You want to have a garbage incinerator so that you can then delete all the garbage that's in your city, and then this one dump zone will simply handle everything that, that your city can throw at it. Then the only other thing is, well, I have a city hall. And the reason for that is because it's my understanding that there's a cap on the number of people you can have in your city if you don't have a city hall. So I made sure that and all the upgrades are free. So I just upgraded it and plopped it in there. And it's only $200, so it's not a big problem, even if that's not true. And then finally, parks. $840, that seems like a ridiculous thing to do. And it is the most expensive thing, but I'm going to show you why. Here we are. Let me get out of this. Down here is where I put all the parks. It was 1 park, which I then upgraded with module parks all the way along this border. The reason why I did that was so that this area right here would become high wealth. and let's say land value. So as you can see, there's a humongous land wealth area here, and all of these are mansions and such. The balance of having low, medium, and high wealth is important. You don't need a lot of high wealth. Just a handful of mansions over here is more than acceptable. And since it's along this border here, this park really isn't taking up any major real estate. You know, none of this would be housing anyway. So this is a nice way to put all of your wealth into one corner, and then you can use it to balance out your city. All right. So now I'm going to go back to, now notice that with the exception of this power plant right here, because I needed the extra power, there are no modules on any of these buildings. Not on the city hall, and not on any of this other stuff. Actually, I guess that's incorrect. The garbage dump has the module, the incinerator on it. Now, I do want to point out one other thing. Because I'm sitting here, rubble, 27. The reason for that is because I do not have a fire station. If I had a fire station, this would not be a problem. You have to decide if you want to sit here and watch your city and then handle the rubble, at which point you don't want a fire station so that you can make as much money as possible. Or if you don't want to sit here, plop down at least one fire station, possibly two, which, yes, will take out a little bit of a chunk of change, but it doesn't matter because you're not going to be sitting here anyway. You're going to be off having a sandwich, and it won't matter. Your city will just raise all kinds of cash. So as you can see, I now have to wipe out all of this rubble, which is tedious. So that might also be a consideration, but it's worth it to get that little bit of extra cash. As you can see, we're going to refer to the city as Old Smoky from now on because these fires just spread and you have to keep just destroying the rubble over and over again. But of course, it rebuilds, so it doesn't really matter. So no modules, and the very last thing that I want to show you is the tax rate. If you put this up to 9, which is where it begins, 9 and 9, and we click out of that, you can see it's up to 18,343. It probably won't stay there. It probably will begin to decrease over time because people will move out due to the higher tax rate. However, that's a good way to boost your cash if you want to make a final push to get this up close to $1 million. And then at that point, you have $1 million, so you can do whatever you want to do. Put your tax rates back down, and you'll have plenty of extra cash to throw around. So as you can see, getting that initial burst of cash for your city actually is not that hard. You simply lay out your grid as fast as possible, and then you don't provide any services to your Sims. And they will complain to the heavens, and you may have to extinguish some fires manually if you don't build the fire station. But other than that, you've got plenty of cash to work with. There you have it. Thank you so much for watching my video. You can find the link to my other articles in the description below. Give me a thumbs up or subscribe if you like this video, and I'll see you soon.